Hi guys, welcome to Simply Scuba. Here we have the Scubapro Litehawk BCD. So this is as the name suggests, a very light sort of travel BCD. It's a wing-in style, so that's why it's got that kind of hawk name to it. But this is for the traveling diver. So incredibly light, very easy to sort of pack. You can practically roll it up. It's so flexible, and all the materials are very light, but they're still nice and soft. So even if you're just wearing a rash vest, it's still just as comfortable. So let's take a closer look. So starting up over the left-hand shoulder, so we have a traditional low-pressure inflator. That comes down over your left-hand shoulder and then goes down to the new Balance Power Inflator, the BPI. And this has a hinged inflator, which is quite nice. So instead of just a simple button that's on-off, it's hinged. So it gives you a bit more control over how you inflate the BCD, whether you sort of inflate it a lot or just a few little adjustments. Big grey button deflate, so that's really nice and easy to do. And they've got an oversized oral inflation valve with a soft kind of silicone sort of edge to that, so that's nice and comfortable when you're just sort of inflating it orally. If you grab hold of that and pull that all down over your left-hand shoulder when you're on the surface, that's going to dump sort of out of your left-hand shoulder. So that's a really quick and easy way just to start the dive. Just yank it down instead of having to lift it up as high as you can and then press the button. You can just pull it down because there's a steel cable inside of that. The shoulder straps, these are sort of big foam and nice and soft and sort of padded. And more importantly, on the inside, this kind of foam material, this dries much faster than a lot of sort of similar BCDs. So if you're doing multiple dives on a day, say on a liverboard, it means that when you put your BCD on, it's not going to feel cold and wet. It's going to be nice and dry. It's going to dry out that much faster. You have a small metal D-ring just on there, so not a big 2-inch sort of D-ring, so they're trying to save weight here. This feels like aluminium, it's so light, just to clip things off onto it. Across the chest, you've got a double adjustment chest strap with a pinch clip in the center, so that's going to hold those shoulder straps in position, stop them from slipping over your shoulders. And then on your right hand shoulder strap you have a pull dump, so very similar to the pull dump on your inflator. But with this, you just yank that down, and over your right-hand shoulder, there's a dump valve, and that's just going to vent out of that. Underneath that little toggle, another D-ring, so you can clip things off on your right-hand shoulder if you want. Moving down to the actual straps themselves, these buckles. So these are hinged, which is quite nice. So the straps are going to be much more ergonomic, so they can come down nice, and then it'll hinge and then go around behind you, so you don't have any kind of tension around your shoulders. It's just going to sort of hinge exactly where it needs to be. Of course, you can adjust that. Plenty of adjustment in sort of this. Wings tend to be a bit more sort of forgiving depending on size because they have a lot more adjustment. So whether you're sort of in between sizes, it's not going to be so much an issue, or if you go from a rash vest all the way up to a 5mm, it's not going to be an issue because you've got plenty of range of motion. So around the waistband, so we have a few pockets. So these ones are kind of quick release weight pockets, but at the moment they're sort of upright, so it's more for kind of storage. But what you can do is you can unthread them, you can flip them over, and then use that as a more sort of quick release weight pocket depending on your preference. If you don't particularly like sort of pinch clip sort of weight releases, then that's fine. You can undo it, reach in, pull the lead out, and just ditch it. Across the waist, we have a standard quick release sort of weight buckle style. This is plastic, this sort of Delrin type material, so it's nice and strong, but it's nice and lightweight as well. D-rings underneath those, metal D-rings, a little bit larger, so this is for clipping things off like gauges and SMBs. You've got one of those on both sides, so depending on where you want to sort of locate your stuff, you've got plenty of space, and there's also one just in the small of your back, down here, sort of covered up by this label, so you probably can't see it on camera. The back pad itself is completely flexible. There's no kind of rigid section in there, so yeah, when you're packing it, it does pack down really nice and neatly. And then if you can see it, it's quite hard to see when it's fully inflated, but between the bladder and the kind of the foam padding backplate, there are some trim weight pockets, so you can put some more lead just sort of nice and close in your back, so it's nice and trim. But it's a little bit higher up, so you can stay nice and horizontal. Now, as you can see, when the wing is fully inflated, it's not affecting you at all. So it can be fully inflated, and unlike a jacket BCD, it's not going to be kind of scrunching you in and being uncomfortable. But you can also see it's got these bungee retention straps, and this just means that when I press the purge button and deflate it, it's going to kind of bring it all in and keep it nice and neat and tidy. Otherwise, it's just going to sort of kind of flap around everywhere. So this just brings it in nice and neat, so you're nice and streamlined in the water. But as you can see, most of the inflation is down towards your sort of lower section. There's not much up here around your shoulders, and that just means you're going to be much more horizontal in the water, especially when you've got any sort of air in your wing. Turning it around so you can see the backside. So up here over your left-hand shoulder, this is the pull dump for your inflator. So this is where the air is going to vent out from. Obviously, you get a low-pressure inflator hose with it. Over the right-hand shoulder, this is an overpressure valve, the dump valve from your right-hand shoulder. You get two sort of cam bands, one with a proper buckle, so this is doing most of the work. The second one is just to help keep your cylinder nice and straight, and just to sort of aid that that's traditional cam bands, but this one's just Velcro, so it's more just for keeping a cylinder straight. And then you have a leash just at the top that can go over your cylinder valve. Again, it's just a bit more redundancy. But to keep your cylinder nice and straight, because you don't have a rigid backplate, you've got those two straps. You've got the kind of the shape of the wing, which when there's any air in it, it's naturally going to cradle that cylinder and stop it from twisting and turning. And then down on your right-hand kidney, you've got a kidney dump on the inside, so it's protected, but it's still kind of in reach, so you can just pull that down and vent from that. So all in all, it's a very lightweight travel BCD. I used to dive something very similar to this. It's kind of got everything you need. You don't need that much kind of storage pockets for keeping all sorts of tools and stuff, as long as you can just clip it off. If you don't need it on the dive, then don't bring it. I much prefer sort of wing style BCDs. I find they keep me in a better position in the water, and yeah, they're just much more comfortable. They're more forgiving as well as far as the sort of size. You've got plenty of adjustment. This is the Scubapro Litehawk BCD. Thanks for watching, and safe diving. We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.